Welcome, dear traveler, to a journey through time and shadow, a journey through the forgotten corridors of history where good intentions once walked hand in hand with grand architectural dreams. Tonight, we explore the abandoned asylums of America, places that began with hope and reform, yet slowly faded into silence and decay. Let yourself settle comfortably as we step back more than a century to an era when massive institutions rose from the earth like cathedrals of healing, their towers reaching toward the sky with promise. These were places built with purpose, designed with care, and filled with souls seeking refuge from the storms of the mind. Our journey begins in Massachusetts, in the year 1878, when the hillsides of Danvers first felt the weight of foundation stones being laid, one by one, slowly and deliberately, as workers built what would become Danvers State Hospital. The architects followed the Kirkbride Plan, a revolutionary design of the time that believed environment could heal the troubled mind. Imagine the optimism of those early days. The belief that long corridors filled with natural light, high ceilings that allowed air to circulate freely, and sprawling grounds where patients could walk among gardens. Imagine how these elements were thought to bring peace to restless spirits. The building itself was magnificent, a Gothic Revival masterpiece with a central administration building crowned by a towering spire and wings that extended outward like welcoming arms, each wing designed to house patients in carefully organized wards. The bricks were laid with precision, the windows installed to catch the morning sun, and the grounds were planted with trees that would grow tall and strong, offering shade for generations to come. As you listen, feel yourself drifting back to that time, to the sounds of construction slowly fading, replaced by the quieter sounds of an institution coming to life. Footsteps in corridors, gentle voices, the rustle of long skirts, and the measured pace of daily routines designed to bring order and calm. The philosophy behind Danvers State Hospital was rooted in compassion, in the belief that those suffering from mental afflictions deserved dignity, space, and beauty in their surroundings. Dr. Thomas Kirkbride, the visionary behind the architectural plan, believed that the very structure of a building could influence the mind toward health. And so the hospital was designed with intention, every corridor planned, every room positioned, every window placed to maximize the healing properties of light and air. The patients who arrived in those early years came seeking refuge, some brought by families who could no longer provide care, others coming of their own accord, hoping for relief from the burdens they carried within their minds. The admission records, now yellowed and fragile, tell stories in careful handwriting. Names, ages, occupations, and brief descriptions of afflictions. A seamstress from Salem suffering from melancholia, a sailor from Gloucester whose mind had been troubled by visions, a young woman from Boston whose family spoke of nervous exhaustion. Each person became part of the institution's story, their days structured around the routines that were believed to bring stability. Morning light would filter through tall windows, illuminating day rooms where patients gathered, some engaged in quiet conversation, others absorbed in simple handwork or reading. The belief was that occupation of the hands could quiet the turmoil of the mind, and so there were workshops and sewing rooms, gardens to tend, and simple tasks that gave shape to the passing hours. The staff moved through these spaces with purpose, doctors making their rounds, attendants offering gentle guidance, all operating within a system that genuinely believed it was offering a better way. Let yourself imagine walking through those corridors in the hospital's early decades, the floors worn smooth by countless footsteps, the walls painted in soft, calming colors, the sound of your own breathing matching the slow, measured pace of life within these walls. As the decades passed at Danvers, the institution grew. More buildings were added, more patients arrived, and the grounds became a small city unto itself, complete with its own power plant, farm, and cemetery. But even as the population swelled beyond original intentions, there remained a quality to the place, a sense of existing slightly apart from the world outside its walls. The daily rhythms continued, sunrise bringing the first stirrings of activity, morning routines unfolding with familiar predictability, afternoons devoted to therapeutic activities and outdoor exercise when weather permitted, and evenings drawing all back inside as twilight settled over the hill. Now let us travel westward across Massachusetts, beyond Boston's busy harbor, through the forests and farmlands, across the border into New York State, where along the eastern shore of Seneca Lake, another institution took shape in the 1860s. Willard Asylum for the Chronic Insane, as it was originally named, had a different purpose from the beginning. While places like Danvers aimed to treat and cure, Willard was designed as a permanent home for those deemed chronically mentally ill, those who had spent years warehoused in county poorhouses and jails, often in terrible conditions. The founding of Willard represented a reform, a recognition that even those considered incurable deserved humane treatment and dignified surroundings. The location was chosen with care, the shores of Seneca Lake offering both beauty and tranquility, the water stretching long and deep, reflecting the changing skies, its presence constant and calming. Imagine standing on those shores in 1869 when the first patients arrived. 50 women transferred from poorhouses across New York, each carrying so little, yet finally arriving at a place that offered them space, clean beds, regular meals, and the possibility of peace. The buildings at Willard were substantial, constructed of red brick that glowed warm in the afternoon sun, with white-trimmed windows looking out toward the lake and the surrounding landscape. These women, and the men who soon followed, would spend their remaining years here, some for decades, their lives unfolding in slow, quiet rhythms far from the families and communities they had once known. At Willard, time moved differently than in the world beyond the gates. For the chronic patients who made this place their home, there was a strange gift in the permanence, the knowledge that they would not be moved again, not be transferred to another place, not be subjected to the uncertainty that had marked their earlier years. Their days took on a gentle sameness, breakfast in the dining halls, where long tables accommodated dozens, morning activities suited to individual abilities, afternoon rest periods, evening gatherings in day rooms before the slow procession to dormitories for the night. The staff at Willard developed relationships with patients that spanned years, attendants who knew each person's preferences, their moods, their stories. There was a graveyard on the grounds where patients who died were buried, and though many graves were marked only with numbers rather than names, they represented lives that had been lived out in this place by the lake. Inside the buildings, personal belongings accumulated, suitcases packed by patients or their families upon admission, stored away, and often forgotten, containing the small treasures that people carried from their former lives. Years later, when the hospital finally closed, hundreds of these suitcases would be discovered in an attic, and the contents would tell intimate stories. A pair of gloves carefully folded, a small mirror wrapped in cloth, letters tied with ribbon, photographs of people whose names were lost to time, a hairbrush with a few strands still caught in the bristles. These objects speak across the decades, reminding us that each patient was a person with a history, with connections, with a life that had meaning beyond their diagnosis. As you rest here listening, let yourself consider the quiet dignity of those long years at Willard, the way sunlight moved across the same floors season after season, the view of the lake changing from blue summer waters to winter ice and back again, the accumulation of thousands of ordinary moments that made up extraordinary lengths of time. There is something peaceful in this continuity, in the idea that some things remain constant even as the world outside rushes and changes. Both Danvers and Willard, in their early decades, represented the best intentions of their era. The belief that architecture and environment could soothe troubled minds, that structure and routine could provide stability, that even those deemed incurable deserved a place of their own. The physicians and reformers who designed these institutions could not have foreseen what the 20th century would bring. The overwhelming numbers of patients, the overcrowding that would strain every system, the shift from hopeful treatment to mere containment. But in those early years, there was genuine optimism. You can sense it in the careful placement of windows to catch the light, in the landscaping of grounds with walking paths and gardens, in the detailed architectural elements that gave these buildings dignity and grace. As we conclude this first part of our journey, let your mind rest in those early days, in the vision of reform and compassion that brought these institutions into being. Imagine the Massachusetts hillside as evening falls over Danvers State Hospital, the grand building silhouetted against a darkening sky, lights beginning to glow in windows, the routines of day transitioning to the routines of night, patients settling into their wards, the great institution breathing in and out like a living thing, housing hundreds of souls within its brick walls. And imagine Willard by the lake, the last light fading from the water's surface, the red brick buildings growing indistinct as darkness gathers, the quiet settling over dormitories where patients lie in their beds, perhaps thinking of the lives they once lived, perhaps dreaming of other places, or perhaps finding a simple peace in the familiar surroundings that have become their home. These places stand now mostly in ruin or transformed beyond recognition. But they echo still with the footsteps of all who walked their corridors, with the hopes and sorrows of the reformers who built them and the patients who lived within them. Let yourself drift now, settling deeper into comfort, the images of these forgotten institutions becoming dreamlike and distant, their stories becoming part of the gentle flow that carries you toward rest, toward sleep, toward the quiet peace of night. As you rest now, comfortable and still, we continue our journey deeper into the forgotten world of these institutions, leaving behind the crumbling facades of Danvers and Willard, drifting now toward the heartland of America, where two more asylums stand silent in the darkness, waiting to share their stories with you. Athens Lunatic Asylum in Ohio and Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum in West Virginia. Two magnificent structures, built with hope, filled with complexity, and now abandoned to time and memory. Let yourself settle even more deeply now as we step through their doors into the rhythm of daily life that once filled these corridors, the steady, measured, predictable routines that governed every moment, every hour, every day. Athens Lunatic Asylum rises from the hills of southeastern Ohio, its Victorian architecture sprawling across the landscape, red brick walls glowing warm in the afternoon sun, tall windows reflecting clouds and sky. The building was designed with intention, with care, following the Kirkbride plan that believed architecture itself could heal, that symmetry and light and air could soothe troubled minds. The asylum opened in 1874, welcoming its first patients into spacious wards, high ceilings, wide hallways filled with natural light. There was optimism then, a belief that mental illness could be treated, that patients could recover, could return to their lives. And so the routines began, structured and regular, as predictable as sunrise, as constant as the turning seasons. Patients woke at dawn, the morning light filtering through those tall windows, casting long shadows across wooden floors. They rose slowly, quietly, moving through the rituals of morning, washing, dressing, preparing for the day ahead. Breakfast was communal, served in large dining halls, the sound of utensils on plates, low conversations, the quiet movements of nurses and attendants guiding, observing, caring. After breakfast came work, for work was considered therapeutic, purposeful, healing. Some patients tended the gardens, their hands in soil, planting, weeding, harvesting vegetables that would feed the institution. Others worked in the kitchens, the laundry, the workshops, their days filled with simple, repetitive tasks, the kind of work that requires just enough attention to quiet the mind, to create rhythm, to bring a sense of accomplishment. And there was time for rest, for reflection, for sitting in the day rooms, where sunlight pooled on floors, where patients could read, or talk quietly, or simply sit, watching the light move across the walls, watching the seasons change beyond the windows. Spring blossoms giving way to summer green, to autumn gold, to winter white. The endless cycle continuing, reliable, constant, soothing in its predictability. Let yourself breathe slowly now, deeply, as we move through these halls together, observing the daily rhythms, the careful structure, the way time was measured and marked in these institutions. At Athens, and at countless asylums like it, the days followed patterns, comforting in their sameness. Morning routines giving way to afternoon activities, then evening gatherings, then the quiet descent into night. Treatments in these early years were simple, gentle by the standards of the time. There was hydrotherapy, the use of water to calm and soothe. Patients would sit in warm baths for hours, the water heated just so, maintained at a constant temperature, the warmth seeping into muscles, into bones, relaxing tension, easing agitation. The bathrooms were quiet spaces, dim and warm, steam rising gently, creating a soft fog that blurred the edges of everything, that made the world feel distant, dreamlike, peaceful. Some patients received occupational therapy, learning skills, creating things with their hands, basket weaving, sewing, woodworking. The rhythm of these activities, repetitive and focused, brought calm, brought purpose. The sound of the loom, the steady click, 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 the needle pulling thread through fabric, the saw moving through wood. These sounds became meditation, became therapy themselves. And there was music. For music was understood to reach places that words could not, to soothe minds that were troubled, to bring order to internal chaos. Patients gathered in the assembly halls, listening to pianos, to singing, sometimes participating, sometimes simply receiving, letting the melodies wash over them like waves, like breathing, like the gentle pulse of life itself. But even in these early optimistic years, even with the beautiful architecture and the structured routines, there were challenges. The asylums began to fill, more patients arriving than could be comfortably housed, more needs than could be adequately met. Athens Lunatic Asylum, designed for 500 patients, soon held twice that number, and the overcrowding began, gradually at first, almost imperceptibly, but steadily, inevitably. Private rooms became shared rooms became wards. Wards became crowded spaces where privacy was a memory, where the careful structure began to fray at the edges. And still the patients came, brought by families who had nowhere else to turn, by courts, by circumstances beyond anyone's control. And still the staff did their best, maintained the routines, served the meals, led the activities, even as resources stretched thinner, even as the original vision became harder to maintain. Continue breathing slowly, deeply, as we travel now across the mountains, from Ohio into West Virginia, where another institution rises from the landscape, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, one of the largest hand-cut stone masonry buildings in North America, massive and imposing, yet designed with the same hopeful principles, the same belief that architecture and routine could heal. The building stretches impossibly long, more than a quarter-mile from end to end, its Gothic and Tudor Revival architecture creating a structure that seems almost like a palace or a cathedral, something grand and purposeful, something built to last for generations. Construction began before the Civil War in 1858, but the war interrupted everything, and the asylum didn't open until 1864. Its early years marked by the chaos and aftermath of conflict, by wounded soldiers, by minds broken by war, by the desperate need for any kind of sanctuary. The building was designed for 250 patients, offering each person space, light, air, dignity. But like Athens, like Danvers, like Willard, like so many institutions built with good intentions, Trans-Allegheny soon filled beyond capacity, and the overcrowding began its slow, inevitable, suffocating progression. By the early 1900s, the asylum held over 700 patients. By the 1950s, more than 2,400, packed into spaces never meant to hold so many. The daily routines continued, adapted, stretched to accommodate the crowds. Patients still woke at dawn, still ate communal meals, still participated in work programs and activities, but the experience had changed. The spacious wards became dormitories, beds lined up close together, row after row, the private spaces disappearing, the individual attention becoming rare, becoming impossible. And yet the institution continued, year after year, decade after decade, because there was nowhere else for these patients to go, no other system to care for them, no other refuge in a world that didn't understand mental illness, that feared it, that wanted it hidden away behind thick walls and locked doors. The staff at Trans-Allegheny worked within impossible conditions, managing far too many patients with far too few resources. They maintained the schedules, the morning wake-up, the meals, the evening quiet hours. They administered treatments that evolved with the times, some helpful, some controversial, some that we now recognize as harmful. There was still hydrotherapy, still occupational therapy, but now there was also insulin shock therapy, a treatment that induced comas, believing that the profound physiological stress might somehow reset the brain, might bring clarity, might cure. Patients selected for this treatment were brought to special wards, given carefully measured doses of insulin, then monitored as their blood sugar dropped, as their bodies entered crisis, as they slipped into unconsciousness. Breathe with me now, slowly, in and out, as we observe these treatments with compassion, understanding that those who administered them truly believed they were helping, truly thought they were providing the best care available at the time. Knowledge evolves, understanding deepens, and what seems right in one era becomes unthinkable in another. Electroconvulsive therapy arrived in the 1940s, electricity replacing insulin as the agent of shock. Small electrodes placed on the temples, a controlled current passed through the brain, causing seizures that somehow, in ways not fully understood even then, sometimes brought relief from the deepest depressions, sometimes calmed the most severe agitations. Patients were prepared carefully, lying on beds in treatment rooms, receiving muscle relaxants so the seizures wouldn't cause injury. Then the brief, intense application of current, the body stiffening, then relaxing, the patient unconscious, then slowly waking, confused, disoriented, their memories foggy, their sense of self temporarily scattered. The treatment was repeated, weekly, sometimes more often, a series of sessions that would hopefully accumulate into healing, into wellness, into release from suffering. And for some patients it helped, genuinely helped, brought them back from places of profound despair, gave them relief when nothing else had worked. But for others it brought only confusion, only fear, only a deepening sense of being violated, of losing themselves. And the institution continued, its daily rhythms persisting through all the changes, through all the treatments, through the growing crowds and diminishing resources. Morning still came, the light still filtered through those hundreds of windows. Patients still woke, still dressed, still moved through their days according to the schedule that governed everything. There was still work in the gardens, on the grounds that surrounded the massive building, acres of land that needed tending, that provided both purpose and food. Patients walked these grounds in their free time, moving along paths that wound through lawns and flower beds, past outbuildings and through groves of trees. The grounds were beautiful, designed to be therapeutic in themselves, to provide a connection to nature, to the changing seasons, to the fundamental rhythms of the earth. And perhaps this was the most healing aspect of all. These moments outside, hands in soil, sun on faces, wind moving through leaves, the simple, timeless, universal experiences that connect all humans, all living things, that remind us we are part of something larger, something that continues regardless of our individual struggles, our personal storms. As we prepare to move onward, to continue our journey through these forgotten places, let yourself rest more deeply now, your body heavy and comfortable, your mind quiet and still, observing these stories from a peaceful distance. The middle years of these institutions, the decades from the 1920s through the 1960s, were marked by this tension between the desire to help and the reality of overcrowding, between innovative treatments and limited understanding, between the human need for dignity and the systematic conditions that made dignity nearly impossible. At Athens and Trans-Allegheny, and at institutions across America, thousands of patients lived out their years. Some stayed for weeks, some for months, some for decades, some for their entire adult lives. Growing old within these walls, their memories of the outside world fading like old photographs. Becoming dim and uncertain, they formed communities within the asylums, friendships and alliances, shared memories and inside jokes. They knew the staff by name, knew which nurses were kind, which doctors would listen, which attendants could be trusted. They knew every corner of the buildings, every window view, every creaking floorboard, every echo in the long hallways. These places became their world, their entire reality. The rhythms and routines becoming as natural as breathing, as familiar as their own heartbeats. And slowly, gradually, the outside world began to change its thinking about mental illness, about institutionalization, about whether these massive asylums were truly helping or merely warehousing human beings. Questions began to arise, reforms began to be proposed, alternatives began to be imagined. But change is slow, especially in large systems, especially when there are no easy answers, no simple solutions. And so the asylums continued through the middle decades of the 20th century, their populations swelling, their purposes questioned, their futures uncertain. The daily routines persisted, morning, afternoon, evening, night, wake, work, rest, sleep, the cycles continuing, steady and constant, like breathing, like waves on a shore, like the passing of seasons. And as we leave these institutions now, as we prepare to journey forward into the later years of their history, let yourself carry only peace, only calm, only the gentle rhythm of these stories. Let the images blur and soften, the details becoming less important than the feeling, the overall sense of time passing, of human beings living their lives as best they could, of institutions trying and failing and trying again. Let it all become distant now, dreamlike, peaceful, as you settle deeper into comfort, your breathing slow and regular, your body releasing all tension, all concern, drifting now, gently drifting toward the restorative rest that awaits you, the deep, peaceful, healing sleep. And now, as you rest here, breathing softly, we move deeper into our journey, deeper into time, to the mid-20th century, when these grand institutions began their slow, gentle, inevitable decline. Let us visit now Penhurst State School, nestled in the rolling countryside of Pennsylvania, a place where hope and despair walked hand in hand through long corridors, where the ideals of care gave way, gradually, quietly, to the reality of neglect. Penhurst opened in 1908, the Spring City Institution, built on principles of compassion, of progress. Its buildings spread across verdant grounds, red brick facades warm in the sunlight, windows reflecting clouds drifting by so slowly, so peacefully. In those early years there was optimism, a belief that proper environment, fresh air, structured routine could heal troubled minds, could provide sanctuary. But as decades passed, as the years rolled forward like gentle waves, the population grew and grew and grew. From hundreds to thousands, patients arrived, sent by families, by courts, by a society uncertain what else to do. The rooms designed for one now held 3, then 4. The staff stretched thin, thinner still, their good intentions overwhelmed by sheer numbers, by impossible circumstances. Walk with me now through these corridors, these long, quiet, echoing halls. Picture the paint peeling in soft curls from the walls, revealing layers beneath, cream, then green, then the original plaster, like rings in a tree, marking time's passage. The floors worn smooth by countless footsteps, decades of walking, pacing, wandering. The windows, some broken now, letting in the breeze, carrying the scent of grass, of leaves, of rain. The decline was gradual, gentle, almost imperceptible at first, like twilight settling over the hills, darkness coming on so slowly you hardly notice, until suddenly the day has ended. The budget cuts came quietly, the reforms promised but delayed, the inspections noting concerns, then more concerns, then grave concerns. Yet the days continued, one after another. The routines maintained. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, sleep, breakfast again. Let your breathing match this rhythm now, slow, steady, regular as those institutional days, in and out, feeling yourself sinking deeper into comfort, deeper into relaxation as we explore these spaces together, these forgotten places where time seems suspended, where history whispers softly. As we continue our gentle journey, our peaceful exploration, let us turn now to Rolling Hills Asylum in Batavia, New York. Another institution with a story to tell, a story of transformation, of slow, inevitable change. Rolling Hills began its life in 1827, not as an asylum at all, but as the Genesee County Poorhouse, a refuge for those with nowhere else to turn. The building grew over time, additions spreading like branches from a tree, Georgian architecture simple and dignified, windows arranged in perfect symmetry, proportion and balance, soothing to the eye, calming to the mind. By the mid-1900s, rolling hills housed not just the poor, but the mentally ill, the aged, the orphaned, the tubercular, all under one sprawling roof. Hundreds of souls, each with their own story, their own sorrow, their own small hopes. The building held them all, its walls absorbing their voices, their footsteps, their dreams. Imagine now, as you rest, as you breathe, the daily life within those walls, the morning light streaming through tall windows, casting long rectangles of gold across wooden floors, the sounds muffled, distant, footsteps echoing, doors closing softly, far away, the smell of institutional soap, of boiled vegetables, of floor polish, scents that become familiar, almost comforting, in their constancy. The decline here too was gradual, like seasons changing, like day fading to night. Standards of care, once adequate, became questionable, then troubling. Investigation followed investigation, reporters describing overcrowding, describing conditions that shocked the conscience. Yet change came slowly, so slowly. Reforms debated, committees formed, reports filed away. The building itself began to show its age, its weariness, plaster cracked, spreading like river deltas across ceilings. Paint darkened and peeled, wooden floors sagged, worn concave by endless walking. The infrastructure strained, pipes leaked, heating failed. Yet still the institution carried on, day after day, year after year, holding its residents in those aging walls, until finally, inevitably, the decision came to close. Breathe with me now, slowly, deeply, feeling the weight of all this history, yet knowing it cannot touch you here, in your safe, comfortable space. You are simply observing, drifting through these stories, these images, like a visitor in a dream. Everything distant, hazy, peaceful. Your body grows heavier, more relaxed, with each slow breath, each gentle word sinking deeper, deeper still, into perfect comfort. Let us return now to Penhurst, as the 1960s arrived, bringing with them winds of change, whispers of reform. In 1968, a television reporter named Bill Baldini visited Penhurst, his camera crew capturing images that would shock the nation. Images of neglect, of overcrowding, of human beings living in conditions no one could defend. The report aired, and the outcry began. Yet Penhurst remained open, continued operating. The machinery of bureaucracy moved slowly, so very slowly, like a great wheel turning, inch by inch, year by year. Lawsuits were filed, reforms promised, some improvements made, then sliding back, then improved again. This cycle repeating, like waves upon a shore, advancing, retreating, advancing again. Walk with me through Penhurst in those declining years, those twilight decades. See the building standing stoic, red brick fading to softer shades, the administration building with its classical columns, the dormitories spreading across the grounds, the hospital, the workshops, all slowly, gradually falling into disrepair. Inside, the paint continues peeling, revealing layers of history, decades of color choices, ceiling tiles stained and sagging, water damage spreading in abstract patterns, almost beautiful in their random complexity. The furniture worn, institutional green chairs with vinyl cracked and split, metal bed frames rusting, mattresses thin, springs exposed. Yet still, even in decline, there were moments of gentleness. Staff who cared despite impossible conditions. Patients who found friendship, who formed bonds, who looked after one another in small ways. Moments of kindness, of humanity, persisting like flowers growing through concrete, like light finding its way through cracks. Breathe in this complexity now, breathing slowly, accepting that history holds both darkness and light, both cruelty and compassion, and knowing that here, now, in this moment, you are safe, you are comfortable, you are simply listening, drifting, your mind wandering gently through these stories, these images, while your body releases, relaxes, lets go of all tension, all concern. The reforms continued, slowly. Patient populations gradually decreased. Buildings emptied one by one. The grounds grew quieter, the sounds of institutional life fading, replaced by silence. by the whisper of wind through broken windows, by birdsong, by the rustle of leaves. Nature patient, always patient, waiting to reclaim what was hers. And you too can feel this patience now, this sense of natural rhythm, of inevitable cycles. Your breathing slow and natural, your heartbeat steady and calm. Everything in its time, everything unfolding as it should. No rush, no urgency, only this gentle, peaceful drifting. Returning once more to rolling hills, to that sprawling complex in upstate New York, where the years continued their slow, inexorable march. The 1960s and 70s brought change here as well. A gradual shift, a slow transformation. Modern psychiatric care was evolving, new medications allowing treatment in communities rather than institutions. The philosophy changing, institutions falling out of favor, seen now as relics, as mistakes, as places that caused as much harm as healing. One by one, residents were transferred, relocated, the population dwindling. By 1974, Rolling Hills Asylum closed its doors. The last residents departed, the staff dispersed, the building stood empty, silent. The rooms that once echoed with voices, with footsteps, with all the sounds of institutional life, now held only stillness, only quiet, only the settling and creaking of an aging structure. Picture these empty rooms now, as you rest, as you breathe slowly, deeply. See the dormitories with beds removed, leaving only rectangular shadows on the floor where furniture once stood. See the common rooms, chairs arranged in circles that no one will sit in again. The kitchen, with its massive stoves cold now, silent. The dining hall with long tables waiting for meals that will never come. Dust settles, layer upon layer upon layer, years of dust, coating surfaces, softening edges. Cobwebs form in corners, delicate and intricate like lace, like art. Wallpaper curls away from walls, revealing plaster beneath. The patterns fading, colors bleaching in sunlight that streams through unwashed windows, casting everything in soft, hazy, golden light. There is something peaceful in this abandonment, something restful. The building released from its duties, its burdens, allowed finally to simply be, to exist without purpose, without function, simply standing, weathering, aging, returning slowly to the earth, to dust, to memory. Feel this peace now, this sense of release. Your own body released from tension, from duty, from effort. Simply existing, simply being, in this moment, in this quiet space. Your muscles soft, loose, heavy. Your mind drifting, thoughts coming and going like clouds, nothing to hold on to, nothing to worry about. Everything distant, dreamlike, peaceful. The seasons turn around these empty buildings. Spring brings rain pattering on roofs, dripping through cracks. Summer sun beats down warming bricks, fading paint. Autumn leaves blow into open doorways, collecting in corners. Winter snow drifts against walls, fills window wells, and the buildings stand through it all, patient, silent, slowly, slowly, returning to the landscape, becoming part of the earth again. And you too are part of this natural rhythm, this gentle cycle, your breathing matching the rhythm of seasons, of time, of eternal rest. As this act of our journey draws to its close, let us take one final, gentle, peaceful walk through these institutions in decline. Let us see them not with sorrow, but with acceptance, with understanding, with the calm that comes from knowing that all things eventually must change, must transform, must end. Penhurst finally closed in 1987, nearly 20 years after those shocking reports. The last residents transferred, the last staff departing, keys turned in locks, doors closed, the buildings standing empty, scattered across those Pennsylvania hills. Silent sentinels, monuments to intentions both good and terrible, to an era passing into history, into memory, into story. The decline, the abandonment, the slow return to nature. There is a rhythm to this, a pattern, like breathing, like sleeping, like the cycles that govern all existence. Nothing remains forever. Nothing stays the same. Everything flows, changes, transforms, and in this constant change there is peace, there is rest, there is acceptance. As you lie here now, breathing so slowly, so softly, imagine yourself walking through these quiet halls one last time, your footsteps echoing gently, your breath visible in cool air, the light filtering through dusty windows, soft, diffused, golden and blue. You are not afraid, You are not sad, you are simply observing, witnessing, being present with what is. The walls crumbling slowly, the floors sagging, the ceilings stained and splitting. All of it returning to the earth, to dust, to peace. And as these buildings decline, as they fade, as they release their hold on the past, so too can you release any tension, any worry, any thought that disturbs your peace. Let it all go now, let it all fade, like paint peeling from walls. Like memories growing distant, like day becoming night, everything becoming softer, hazier, more dreamlike. Your body so heavy now, so relaxed, sinking into comfort, into warmth, into perfect safety. Your breathing slow, regular, automatic, requiring no thought, no effort. These stories of decline, of abandonment, of slow transformation, they carry you deeper now, deeper into relaxation, deeper into that space between waking and sleep, where everything is peaceful, everything is well. You are drifting, like dust in sunlight, like leaves on still water, like clouds across an evening sky, drifting toward sleep, toward rest, toward the deep, healing, restorative peace that awaits you, just beyond, just ahead, just letting go. And so we drift into the twilight years, the final chapters of these great institutions. Let us turn our attention now to Waverly Hills Sanatorium in Kentucky, a place of healing, a place of hope, and ultimately a place of silence. Built in 1910, this grand tuberculosis hospital stood upon a hill overlooking the city of Louisville, its white walls gleaming, its corridors stretching, long and quiet, waiting, always waiting. In its time, Waverly Hills was known as a place of innovation, of fresh air treatment, of sun porches and open windows where patients would lie, breathing, simply breathing, the clean Kentucky air, hoping for recovery, hoping for life. But tuberculosis, that persistent shadow, that relentless visitor, did not always grant such mercies. And so the years passed, one into another, patients arriving, patients departing, some to home, others to the body chute, that underground tunnel, that discreet passage where the deceased were taken, quietly, respectfully, down the hillside, away from the eyes of the living, always away, always down, into shadow. But by the 1960s, the age of tuberculosis was waning. Medical advances, antibiotics, vaccines transformed this white plague from a death sentence to a manageable condition. And Waverly Hills, with its 500 beds, its vast sun porches, its specialized treatment rooms, found itself less necessary. The patients dwindled, their numbers falling, like autumn leaves, like evening light, like hope slowly, gently fading. In 1961, the sanatorium closed its tuberculosis ward. The building stood empty for a moment, for a breath, before reopening briefly as a geriatric facility. But this too would not last. The great building, with its Gothic Revival architecture, its towering presence, was too large, too expensive, too much a remnant of an earlier time. And so in 1982, Waverly Hills closed, finally completely. The last patients were transferred, their belongings packed, their memories boxed. The staff turned off the lights, one by one, room by room, corridor by corridor, until darkness settled like a blanket, like snow, like the hush before sleep, and the building stood empty. Imagine walking those halls now in your mind, slowly, peacefully. Your footsteps echo softly on worn linoleum, past rooms where hundreds once lay, watching the sky, watching the trees, watching for signs of recovery. The sun porches extend, long and narrow, windows on both sides, allowing the air to flow through as it always did, as it always will. The light filters in, soft and golden, touching the dust motes, making them dance, making them swirl in their eternal, gentle rotation. Everything is still, everything is quiet, the patients are gone, their voices faded, their footsteps vanished, but something remains. A feeling, a presence, not frightening, but melancholy, a sadness, a longing for what was, for what might have been. And you feel this, gently, distantly, as you drift through, observing, releasing, letting go. The building breathes in its own way, creaking softly, settling into itself. The years have been kind and unkind. Paint peels, plaster falls, nature begins, slowly to reclaim what was once so carefully maintained. But there is beauty here, in the decay, in the silence, in the emptying. There is peace, deep, restorative peace, the kind of peace that comes when struggle ends, when purpose is fulfilled, when rest finally arrives. And you, listening now, can feel this peace, settling over you like twilight, like mist, like the gentlest of goodbyes. Rest now in this feeling, in this quietness. Let Waverly Hills hold your worries. In its empty rooms, let it absorb your restlessness, your tension. You are safe, you are calm, you are drifting deeper, deeper into the peace that waits in silent, abandoned spaces. Breathe slowly in and out as we continue our gentle journey. Let your mind drift now across the miles from Kentucky to New Jersey, where another grand institution awaited its final days. Greystone Park Psychiatric Hospital, built in 1876 in Morris Plains, this magnificent structure was once the largest building in the United States. Can you imagine a single building stretching for more than a quarter mile? Its Victorian Gothic architecture, imposing yet elegant, with towers reaching skyward and wings extending east and west like arms, like an embrace, holding within the troubled minds, the weary souls, the forgotten people of New Jersey. In its beginning, Greystone Park embodied the principles of moral treatment. The Kirkbride Plan, with its linear design, ensured that every ward received sunlight, fresh air, views of the landscaped grounds. The theory was simple and beautiful. Environment affects the mind, beauty heals, space allows for recovery, and so the grounds were planted, with gardens, with trees, with winding paths where patients could walk and think and perhaps find peace. For decades, Greystone served. In its early years, it was a place of hope, of innovation, of genuine care. But as always, the pattern repeated. More patients arrived than could be properly accommodated. By the mid-20th century, the hospital, designed for 800, housed over 7,000. Overcrowding, understaffing, neglect. These shadows crept in, slowly, inevitably. The beautiful vision of healing through environment became obscured by the reality of too many people, too few resources, too little hope. The treatments changed, evolved, became controversial. Electroshock, insulin shock, lobotomy. These methods, once considered progressive, now seem harsh, intrusive. But in their time, they were offered with the intention, however misguided, of helping, of curing, of restoring the fractured mind. By the 1970s and 80s, the movement toward deinstitutionalization was sweeping across America. The belief that patients could be better served in community settings rather than isolated hospitals took hold. And so, slowly, Greystone began to empty. Wards closed one by one. Patients were transferred to group homes, to outpatient facilities, to community programs, or sometimes, sadly, to homelessness, to prisons, to a system unprepared to truly support them. But the building remained, growing quieter, year by year, decade by decade. In 2008, a new, smaller facility was opened nearby, and the great Victorian structure, the massive, historic building, was finally abandoned, completely. The last patients left. The last staff members locked the doors, turned out the lights, and walked away, leaving Greystone to silence. Imagine standing now in one of those long corridors. The hallway stretches before you, seemingly endless, doors lining both sides, each one opening into a small room, a private world where someone once lived, once hoped, once dreamed. The light is dim, filtering through tall, dirty windows, casting long shadows that stretch across the floor. You walk slowly, your footsteps soft, almost soundless, on the old tile, peeling, cracked, lifting at the edges. Each room you pass is empty now. Beds removed, belongings gone, but traces remain. Marks on the walls where posters once hung, scratches on door frames, names carved or written in moments of desperation or boredom or simple human need to be remembered. You feel no fear, only a gentle melancholy, a quiet acknowledgement of all the life that passed through this space, all the pain, the struggle, the small moments of joy, the friendships formed, the losses endured, everything absorbed into these walls, and now released, slowly, gently released, as the building empties, as silence fills the space where voices once echoed. You continue walking deeper into the building. The corridors intersect, branch, lead to stairways that spiral upward or descend into basements where the old heating systems still rest, cold now, silent. No more steam, no more warmth, just the cool, still air of abandonment. And in this coolness, this stillness, you find comfort, because emptiness is not always sad. Sometimes it is simply rest, the end of striving, the beginning of peace. Let yourself feel this. Let the emptiness of these halls mirror the emptying of your busy mind. Release your thoughts one by one, like patients, leaving like staff, departing like lights, going out until only the building remains quiet, still, waiting for sleep. Rest here for a moment. Let your breathing slow even further, in and out, like waves, like wind, like the passage of time through empty buildings. Let us return once more to Waverly Hills, to walk its rooms in deeper detail, to feel the weight of memory settling softly around us. Picture the body chute, that underground tunnel 500 feet long, descending from the hospital down the hillside in the years when tuberculosis claimed so many lives. This passage served a somber purpose, to spare the living patients from seeing the constant reminder of death. The deceased were taken through this tunnel on a motorized rail car, down into the hillside, where hearses waited, discreetly, respectfully. The tunnel is made of concrete, arched overhead, cool and dark, even on the brightest days. Water seeps through in places, dripping, echoing, creating small puddles that reflect what little light filters down from above. Walking through this tunnel in your imagination, you feel no dread, only a quiet reverence. This was a path of transition from one state to another, from suffering to peace, from struggle to rest. Your footsteps echo softly, the sound bouncing off curved walls, repeating, fading. You walk slowly, there is no hurry. Time has stopped in this space. The urgency that once drove the daily activities, the treatments, the routines has dissolved. Now there is only the tunnel, the darkness, the cool air, and you, breathing, slowly, steadily, walking towards something undefined but peaceful. At the top of the tunnel, back in the main building, the rooms wait, each one identical or nearly so. A window, a bed, a small table, simple, sparse, sufficient. In these rooms, patients would spend countless hours lying still, preserving energy, breathing carefully. Some would recover gradually, miraculously, their breath returning, their strength rebuilding. They would walk out, eventually down the main entrance, into sunlight, into life. Others would grow weaker, their breath becoming shallower, more labored, until finally they would be taken quietly down the body chute into shadow. Both outcomes, part of the cycle, part of the purpose of Waverly Hills. And now, with all the patients gone, both the healed and the lost, the rooms stand empty. Neither sad nor joyful, simply empty. And this emptiness is a kind of completion. The building has fulfilled its purpose. It held space for suffering and healing, for hope and loss. And now it holds space for silence, for memory, for the slow, gentle return to the earth. Paint continues to peel, plaster falls in small pieces, settling like snow on the floors. Windows crack, slowly spiderwebbing outward from a single point of stress. Nature, patient and persistent, begins to enter. Vines creep through broken windows, reaching, exploring. Birds nest in the rafters, their soft calls echoing through empty wards. And the building accepts this, welcomes this, the next phase of its existence. Not as a hospital, but as a shelter for different forms of life. And you, listening, resting, can learn from this. From the acceptance, the release, the allowing of change, you too can let go of what no longer serves. You too can empty yourself of worry, of tension, of the day's accumulated weight, just as Waverly Hills emptied itself of patience, of purpose, of activity. You can empty yourself into sleep, releasing everything until only the quiet remains, only the breath, the darkness. Soft and welcoming, only the drift toward rest, toward healing, toward the deep, restorative peace that awaits in sleep. Let go now. Let the building hold your burdens in its empty rooms. Let the silence absorb your thoughts. You are safe. You are held. You are drifting like dust through abandoned halls, like light, fading at dusk, like memory, dissolving into dream. Deeper now, drifting deeper. Let us return to Greystone to walk once more through its vast, forgotten spaces. The building, so large, contained worlds within worlds. The administrative wing, where decisions were made, where files were kept, where the bureaucracy of mental health unfolded daily for more than a century. The treatment wings, where therapies occurred, where patients sat in groups or alone, speaking or silent, trying to make sense of minds that felt fractured, lost. The dormitory wings, with row after row of beds where patients slept or tried to sleep, surrounded by others, yet profoundly alone. And finally, the service areas, the kitchens, the laundries, the boiler rooms, where the practical work of maintaining such a massive institution took place. Each area has its own feeling, its own memory, its own silence. In the dormitories, you can almost feel the presence of sleeping bodies, breathing in unison, creating a rhythm, a collective breath that filled the room each night for decades. The windows, tall and arched, let in moonlight or starlight, casting pale shapes across rows of beds. Some patients would lie awake, watching these lights, finding patterns, finding meaning, finding, perhaps, a moment of peace in the predictable movement of celestial bodies. Others would sleep deeply, thankfully their minds finally quiet, their bodies relaxed in the surrender of sleep. And you, listening now, can feel this too, this collective drift into rest. You are not alone in seeking sleep. Countless others in countless places have laid down, closed their eyes, and allowed the darkness to take them gently into dreams. In the treatment rooms, now empty, you can imagine the chairs, arranged in circles. Patients sitting, some engaged, some distant. A therapist speaking, softly, encouragingly, trying to reach across the chasm of mental illness to offer a hand, a hope, a pathway back to connection. Not all treatments worked, not all attempts at healing were successful. But the trying, the offering, the simple act of showing up, day after day, mattered. It mattered to those who were helped, who found even small measures of relief. And it matters now as memory, as testament to the human desire to ease suffering, even when the methods were imperfect, even when the system was flawed. The effort remains absorbed into the walls. And in the administrative offices, files once stood floor to ceiling, each folder containing a life, a person's history, their symptoms, their treatments, their progress, or lack thereof. Thousands upon thousands of individual stories, now removed, archived, or destroyed. The filing cabinets empty, doors hanging open, the desks cleared, the typewriters long gone. Only dust remains, and silence, and the faint outline on the wall where a clock once hung, marking time, dividing days into shifts, into meals, into medication rounds. But time has stopped here, or rather, transformed. No longer divided, no longer measured. Time in an abandoned building becomes something else. Something fluid, something eternal. Past and present merge, all the years of operation compress into a single moment of emptiness. And in this timelessness, you too can release your hold on the hours, the minutes, the schedules that structure your waking life. Here, now, in this story, in this darkness, in this drifting, time is irrelevant. There is only the now, the breath, the heartbeat, the slow, gentle descent into sleep. Walk with me once more through Greystone's corridors. Notice how the light has changed, growing dimmer, softer. The day, if it ever was day, is ending. Shadows deepen in doorways, in corners, in the spaces between. Everything is calm. Everything is still. The building settles with small creaks, small sighs, like an old person lowering into a chair after a long day. The weight of all those years, all those lives, all those treatments and struggles and small victories settles too into foundation, into earth, into memory, and you settle with it, your body heavy now, comfortable, relaxed, your mind quiet now, thoughts drifting away like patience, departing like staff, leaving like lights going out, one by one, until only the essential remains. Breath, heartbeat, the soft embrace of sleep approaching, surrounding, welcoming you home. Almost there now, almost at rest. Let us bring our time with these two institutions to a close, gently, peacefully. Both Waverly Hills and Greystone Park stand now in different states of preservation and decay. Waverly has found new purpose as a historical site, offering tours, hosting investigations, allowing people to walk its halls and remember. Greystone was not so fortunate. Despite efforts to preserve this architectural marvel, demolition began in 2015. The great building that once stretched a quarter mile was systematically taken down piece by piece, floor by floor, until only a small portion of the original structure remained standing as a memorial to what was. Both outcomes, preservation and destruction, are valid endings. One allows continued interaction, continued memory. The other allows complete release, complete rest. Neither is better or worse. They simply are. And in both cases, the institutions as they functioned, are gone. The patients have all departed to other facilities, to homes, to death. The staff have moved on to other jobs, to retirement, to their own final rest. The buildings, whether standing or demolished, no longer serve their original purpose. They are finished, complete, and there is peace in completion. There is rest in ending. You understand this in your body. Every day must end, every task must finish, every period of wakefulness must surrender to sleep. This is not failure, this is not loss. This is the natural cycle, the rhythm that sustains all life. Work and rest, effort and release, waking and sleeping, each necessary, each valuable, each in its time. Now it is time for rest. The asylums have shown you how spaces hold memory, hold purpose, and then release it. You too can release the day's memories, the day's purposes, the day's efforts. Let them settle into the past. Let them become part of the foundation upon which tomorrow will build. But tomorrow is not now. Now is only this moment, this breath, this darkness, this gentle drift. Picture yourself in an empty room at Waverly or Greystone or any of the institutions we have visited. The room is simple, spare, clean. A window shows the night sky, deep blue, almost black, dotted with stars, gentle and distant. A bed waits for you. The sheets are clean and cool. The pillow, soft, inviting. You lie down, slowly, gratefully. Your body sinks into the mattress. Your head rests on the pillow. The weight that you have carried all day is released into the bed, into the building, into the earth. You are held. You are safe. You are so very tired. And it is good to be tired at the end of the day. It means you have lived, you have tried, you have participated in life. Now the reward awaits. Sleep, deep, restorative, healing, sleep. The room around you fades. The building around you dissolves. You are no longer in any specific place. You are simply in darkness, in warmth, in the soft embrace of rest. Your breathing slows, each breath longer, deeper, easier. Your heartbeat steady, calm, strong, reliable. Everything is well. Everything is as it should be. The asylums are empty. The patients are at peace. The stories are told. And you, dear listener, are drifting into the healing darkness, into the restorative silence, into the deep, untroubled sleep that you deserve. Let go, let go, let go. Nothing more is required. Nothing more is needed. Only this. Only sleep. Only peace. The halls are empty now. The lights are out. The doors are closed. And you are safe, are calm, are drifting away into dreams, into rest, into the gentle, eternal quietness of sleep. Sleep now, sleep. The story continues tomorrow, but for now, for tonight, for this moment, all is well, all is quiet, all is peace. And so we continue gently, softly into the final chapter, the last two places, the last two stories of our journey through forgotten halls and abandoned corridors. We come now to Norwich State Hospital in Connecticut and Byberry Mental Hospital in Pennsylvania, two places where time has truly stopped, where nature, patient nature, has begun to reclaim what was once built by human hands. Breathe slowly, breathe deeply. As we enter these final spaces together, Norwich State Hospital rises, or perhaps it falls, gently, slowly, into the Connecticut landscape. Built in the year 1804, it was meant to be different, meant to be better, a place of healing, a place of hope. And for a time, perhaps it was. The buildings, once proud, once painted, once filled with voices, now stand in silence, in beautiful, haunting silence. The walls, red brick walls, weathered by rain, by snow, by decades of seasons, turning and turning, are softened now by moss, by ivy, by the gentle, persistent fingers of vines that climb and climb, searching for sunlight through broken windows. The windows, oh the windows, once they framed faces, faces looking out, hoping, waiting, wondering. Now they frame only emptiness, only sky, only the slow drift of clouds, passing, always passing. Some windows are broken, glass scattered, like fallen stars on the floors below. Other windows remain intact, somehow miraculously, holding their panes, holding their reflections of trees, of moonlight, of the endless, patient passage of time. Walk with me now, slowly, so slowly through the front entrance. The doors are gone, have been gone, for years, for decades perhaps. And so we enter, without ceremony, without announcement, into the main hall. The floor beneath our feet is cracked, is scattered with leaves, with debris, with the quiet accumulation of abandonment. But look at the ceiling, still intact, pressed tin, with patterns, intricate patterns, that once gleamed, that once reflected lamplight. Now they are softened, dulled, covered in dust, in the pale powder of decay. And yet, they are beautiful, still beautiful, in their surrender to time. The corridors stretch away in both directions, long corridors that seem endless, that seem to breathe with a slow, gentle rhythm. Light falls through doorways, through those broken windows, in soft shafts, dusty shafts of golden afternoon, or silver morning, or pale evening light. It doesn't matter which time here is different, is slower, is almost not time at all, but something else, something between memory and dream. And you are safe here, safe in this story, safe in this gentle exploration. Your breathing slows, matches the rhythm of these quiet halls. Inside Norwich, deep inside, we find the rooms, the patient rooms, small rooms, rectangular rooms with peeling paint and empty beds, or rather, the spaces where beds once stood. Now there are only impressions, marks on the floor, shadows of furniture, long removed. The walls were painted once upon a time, painted in calming colors, pale green, soft yellow, colors meant to soothe, meant to heal. And now the paint curls away from the plaster, like petals, like pages, revealing layers beneath, other colors, other eras, other attempts at comfort. Each room tells a story. If you listen, if you look, carefully, quietly. There are markings on some walls, scratches, names, dates, messages from those who lived here, who waited here, who hoped here. These marks, these messages are gentle now, softened by time. They speak not of pain, but of presence, of existence, of the simple fact that someone was here. Someone breathed, someone dreamed, someone looked out these very windows at this very sky. And now you look, you breathe, you are here, in this moment, and you are peaceful, are calm, are drifting. Move slowly now, down another corridor to the common rooms, larger spaces where patients once gathered, once ate, once sat together, in whatever community they could create. The ceilings here are higher, more ambitious. There are remnants of what might have been beauty. A fireplace, yes, a large stone fireplace, cold now, dark now, filled with fallen bricks and nests made by birds who claim this place as their own. The mantelpiece still stands, carved wood, ornate, speaking of an age when even institutions aspired to dignity. The light here is different, softer somehow. It filters through. The tree branches that have grown close to the building, so close that they tap gently against the windows in the breeze. Tap, tap, tap. A rhythm, soothing, natural, like a heartbeat, like breathing, like the sound of rain that will come someday and wash these walls, these floors, these memories with gentle cleansing water. And as we stand here in this common room, in this space of gathering, we feel not sadness, but something else. Something like acceptance, like peace. The building is not suffering in its abandonment. It is simply being, existing, transforming from one thing into another, from hospital to ruin, from ruin to habitat to shelter for creatures, for plants, for the slow, beautiful work of nature. And this is right, this is good, this is the way of all things, to be built, to be used, to be released, to return to earth, to sky, to the endless, gentle cycle. We leave Norwich now, slowly, gently, with gratitude, for its stories, for its silence, for its peaceful surrender. And we travel, though distance means nothing, in dreams, in sleep. We travel south, to Pennsylvania, to Philadelphia, to the edges where the city meets the forgotten, meets the abandoned. We come now to Byberry Mental Hospital, known also as Philadelphia State Hospital, a place larger than Norwich, darker in history. And yet, here too, in its abandonment, there is a strange peace, a heavy peace. Byberry opened in the year 1907. It grew and grew, becoming one of the largest mental institutions in the nation. At its peak, thousands of souls lived within its walls. Too many, far too many. Overcrowding, neglect, suffering, these words are part of Byberry's story, part of its history. And yet, we do not dwell on suffering. Not tonight. Tonight, we observe only what remains, the buildings empty, the halls silent, the grounds returned to wildness. The campus, and it is a campus, sprawls across many acres, dozens of buildings, some connected, some separate, all in various states of decay, of decomposition, of transformation. The architecture is imposing, institutional, brick and stone, built to last, built to contain, and it has lasted, though not in the way its builders intended. Now it contains only echoes, only shadows, only the soft sound of wind moving through empty spaces. Approach with me one of the main buildings, the entrance, grand once, with columns, with steps, now cracked, now crumbling. Weeds grow between the stones. Small trees, saplings, have taken root in impossible places, in gutters, in crevices. Life finds a way, always to return, to reclaim. We step inside, and the darkness is deeper here than at Norwich. The windows, many are boarded, many are blocked by overgrowth, by trees grown tall against the walls. The light that enters is limited, is precious, is filtered through leaves, through dust, through air that has been still for years. Your eyes adjust slowly, and you see the corridors even longer here, even more maze-like. Doors upon doors upon doors leading to rooms, to wards, to treatment areas, to spaces whose purposes are now unclear, unknowable. The floor is littered with papers, with files, with records, scattered, faded, unreadable. The stories of thousands, reduced to pulp, to fragments, to dust. And there is sadness, yes, but there is also release. The burden of those stories, the weight of that suffering, is lifted, dispersed, carried away on the wind that moves through the broken windows. Breathe and release. Release whatever burdens you carry. Let them drift away, away as you sink deeper into rest. Deeper into Byberry we go, though we need not hurry. There is no hurry here. There is only the slow, eternal present. We find the day rooms, the therapy rooms, rooms with purpose, once. Now they are chambers of stillness. The furniture is mostly gone, removed, or rotted, or taken by explorers who ventured here, seeking something, mystery, history, connection to the past. These urban explorers, these curious souls, have left their marks. Graffiti covers some walls, bright colors, strange in this muted place. Messages, names, dates, art of a kind. Some of it is respectful, contemplative, tributes to those who suffered here. Other marks are simply presence, proof that someone came and saw and left again. And we do not judge these marks. They too are part of the story, part of the cycle. Human presence, human absence, human return, all is connected. All is flowing like water, like time, like breath. In one room, a day room perhaps, or a dining hall, the ceiling has partially collapsed. Beams hang down at angles. Plaster covers the floor in drifts like snow. And through the hole in the ceiling you can see the sky, blue sky or gray or the deep velvet of night. It doesn't matter. The point is, the building and the world are no longer separate. The boundary has dissolved. Inside and outside meet, merge, become one. There is beauty in this dissolution, strange beauty, but beauty nonetheless. The way the light falls on rubble, on decay, creating patterns, shadows, highlights. The way a vine has grown down through that hole, down through the ceiling, reaching for the floor, for earth, that it somehow knows is below, beneath the concrete, beneath the foundation. Earth calls to earth, nature calls to nature, and everything eventually answers that call. We wander and we wander through more corridors, more rooms, a nurse's station with a counter still standing with cubby holes for files, for messages, all empty now, all silent. A pharmacy with shelves, empty shelves that once held bottles, pills, potions meant to cure or calm or control. Now they hold only dust, only air, only the weight of memory, which is no weight at all. And you, listening, drifting, you feel the weight leaving your body, your muscles relax, your thoughts slow. You are walking through these halls with me, but you are also sinking into your bed, into softness, into safety. Your breathing is slow, so slow, in and out, like the wind through Byberry's halls. Steady, gentle, eternal. Our journey through these 10 institutions, these 10 forgotten places, comes now to its end. We have walked through Danvers, through Willard, through Athens and Trans-Allegheny, through Penhurst and Rolling Hills, through Waverly and Greystone, and now through Norwich and Byberry. 10 places where thousands lived, suffered, hoped, despaired, and ultimately left or passed into mystery. And what have we learned in this gentle exploration? We have learned that nothing lasts forever, that buildings, no matter how grand, how solid, how imposing, will eventually fall, will crumble, will return to earth. We have learned that nature is patient, is persistent, is ultimately victorious. Vines will grow, trees will rise, roots will crack, foundations and walls, and this is not destruction, but transformation. We have learned that stories linger long after. The storytellers have gone, that the echoes of lives lived, of voices raised, of footsteps in hallways continue in some way, in the walls, in the air, in the consciousness of those who visit, who remember, who tell the tales again. And most of all, we have learned that there is peace in endings, peace in letting go, peace in acceptance. The asylums do not mourn their abandonment. The buildings do not regret their decay. They simply are. They exist in their present state without judgment, without resistance. They accept the rain that falls, the sun that shines, the seasons that turn. They accept and they transform, and they teach us, if we listen, to do the same. So now, as you lie in your bed, in your safety, in your comfort, allow yourself to accept this moment. Accept the day that has passed with all its joys and all its sorrows. Accept the thoughts that drift through your mind without holding them, without pushing them away. Just let them drift like leaves on a stream, like clouds across the sky, like dust motes in a shaft of sunlight in an abandoned room. Let go of what was, let go of what will be. Rest in what is. This breath, this moment, this gentle darkness, this soft surrender to sleep. You are safe, you are calm, you are held by the night, by the silence, by the same peace that fills these empty halls, these quiet rooms, these forgotten and yet somehow remembered places. Sleep now, sleep deeply, sleep peacefully. The asylums rest in their abandonment, and you rest in your comfort. All is well, all is complete, all is exactly as it should be. The stories have been told, the journey has been made, and now there is only rest, only sleep, only the gentle, the eternal, the beautiful peace of letting go. Good night, sleep, sleep, sleep. Thank you for listening tonight. If this story helped you drift off, consider leaving a like and subscribing for more calming stories. Sweet dreams, and I'll see you next time.